Welcome back, friends, to your Techhandy channel. Please like and subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to get new video updates. In the last video, we overview what is VCSA, vCenter Server Appliance. In this video, we will see how we can install VCSA and integrate with our existing ESXi host. You can find the VCSA download link and VMware installation guide in the video description. As you know, we have a domain environment running and we currently have one ESXi host. We will download and install VCSA on the same ESXi host. To download VCSA, you need VMware Customer Connect account, which we created in the first video of this VMware vSphere 6.5 video series. Select the appropriate version of VCSA. Download VCSA type according to your business need. I recommend using Essentials Plus if you're planning to configure VDS virtual distributed switches in your environment, which we will configure in coming videos. From the download page, you can either download VCSA vCenter Server Appliance or vCenter for Windows. Since vCenter for Windows is deprecated, we will download and install VCSA. Enter your credentials to download VCSA. Wait for download to complete. In this video, I have chosen to deploy vCenter 6.5 with an external platform controller, PSC. I'm going to deploy and configure the PSC and vCenter Server Appliance as two separate virtual machines and will use the virtual appliance to manage our environment. In next video, we will see how to install VCSA with Embedded Platform Services Controller. For more details, please read VMware documentation from the shared link in the video description, where you will find prerequisites, system requirements along with installation steps. VCSA ISO is now downloaded. Before we install vCenter Server, the first step is to come up with host names and corresponding IP addresses for the PSC and VCSA. Let's create two forward lookup A records for PSC and VCSA. The reverse PTR records will create automatically if the corresponding tick box is left checked. Mount the ISO on the Windows box from where the installation is carried out. Make sure that the Windows box from where the installation is carried out is able to resolve the DNS records. I am using my storage server for this task. After the ISO is mounted, drill down to the VCSA UI installer Win32 folder and run installer.exe to start to install vCenter Server. Select the Install option from the installer's opening screen. As mentioned, for this deployment I'm choosing the External Platform Services Controller option and deploying the PSC. Enter the IP or hostname of the host you wish to use for the deployment. I'll be connecting to my single management host using the default root account. Validate and accept the certificate warning. Give the PSC a name and set a password for the root account. Select the data store you wish to deploy the appliance on. I chose to enable thin disk mode to save space in my lab. Configure the network setting you wish to use for the appliance. Most of this is standard stuff, but make sure the FQDN you use in the system name forward and reverse DNS records is configured earlier. The wizard will check and warn you if it can't resolve DNS names. Review the settings previously entered to confirm they are correct and click Finish to start the deployment. If you've entered all the settings correctly, the deployment should launch, and depending on your environment will take several minutes to complete. Now would be a good time to grab a coffee. You can further verify under your ESXi that the PSC machine deployment is now started. Once the deployment is successful, you will see a nice green tick. Clicking Continue will move on to the second phase of the process. Stage 2 involves setting up the appliance and configuring single sign-on, SSO. Read through the introduction and click Next to continue. Enter details of NTP servers, highly recommended, or choose to synchronize time with the ESXi host, which we set up earlier on our ESXi host. We also enable SSH access, which is helpful for troubleshooting. This is a new deployment, so I'll be configuring a new SSO domain. Enter details for the new SSO domain. The password needs to meet the certain complexity requirements and will error if these are not met. A site name is also required, and to keep things simple, I've chosen to call my site Toronto site. Decide if you want to join the VMware Customer Experience Program. Review the configuration settings and click Finish to complete the process. Note the warning message and click OK to continue. The setup process now runs using the configuration provided in the wizard. Once complete, you can launch the Getting Started page and close the wizard. Now we have deployed the PSC, you can give yourself time to explore items. Next, we can switch to deploying the vCenter appliance. To get started, launch the installer again to launch the vCenter Server Appliance 6.5 installer. Click Install to launch the wizard. Read and accept the license agreement. For this deployment we are using an external PSC and have chosen to deploy the vCenter server. Enter the IP address or hostname of the host you wish to use for this deployment. Validate and accept the certificate warning. Provide a name for the virtual machine and set a root password. Choose the size of the appliance you wish to deploy. The deployment size depends on how many hosts or virtual machines you need to support. Note, if you wish to use vCenter high availability, then you must choose at least the small vCenter server. Select the data store you wish to use. As this is a lab environment, I'm choosing thin disk mode to save space. Note the option to install to a new vSAN cluster. This enables vSAN on a single host, allowing you to deploy the appliance first, then add additional hosts to the cluster once vCenter is up. Configure the network settings for vCenter. Remember to double-check you've configured DNS records for the VCSA system name. Review the settings and click Finish to start the deployment. Once the deployment is complete, you will see the message below. Click Continue to move on to the second stage. Stage 2 is where we finalize the configuration of the vCenter server and connect it to the previously deployed PSC. Read the information and click Next to continue. We will use ESXi Host NTP server settings for time synchronization. Also, if you plan to use vCenter high availability, you need to enable SSH access by checking the box. Enter the detail for the PSC this vCenter server will connect with. The SSO settings were configured as part of the PSC deployment. I highly recommend to use FQDN here instead of IP. Review the configuration and click Finish to start the process. Once complete, you can click the link to launch the vCenter Getting Started page. You must need to open a web page with HTML5 supportive Explorer. It might take little longer for first-time login. As you can see, the process of deploying vCenter is reasonably straightforward and usually runs without any issues. If the deployment does fail, then be sure to check the log files to find out why. In the next video, I will show you how to install VCSA with Embedded Platform Services Controller. You can then choose which one best suit to your business needs. Thank you for your time and watching the video. I hope you liked this video. Please like, share and subscribe for more informative videos.